trying to do this Periscope thing more regularly. Hey. Just because I need to. I've always wanted to do video, and it's so hard for me to like just do it. And so it's a lot easier to do it just live, and then I can post this stuff to YouTube later if anyone wants to see it. All right, so if you don't know me, if you're hopping on the broadcast from somewhere, name's Jared Moon from End of 3 Fitness. I run a website called End of 3 Fitness. There's a cool logo right over there. I'm in my garage right now, and what I'm actually want to cover real fast today, 7 ways to train alone and actually push yourself. And this actually comes from one of the articles I wrote at End of 3 Fitness that is, in all honesty, it's probably the most popular article I've ever written, the most shared. I get the most emails about a lot of questions. And so I'm going to be going over that article today, but I don't want it just to be just covering the article. I'm definitely not going to read it. If anybody has any questions about any of these topics or suggestions that I'm going to go over, feel free, ask a question here on Periscope because it's very easy to do. Or you can ask me on Twitter later, anything that you want to do. So we did just have some more people hop on. So like I said, I'm covering one of the most popular articles I've written at End of 3 Fitness, how to push yourself when you're training alone, and this is working out, trying to do more intense stuff. This coming from a guy, I've done a lot of training in my garage by myself, and I've had to come up with different ways to push myself because I've done a lot of training alone, and I've had a lot of different garage gyms over the years, and these are kind of some of the things that I've come up with. So the first one, setting meter goals. This is something I try to do once per week, and how you set a meter goal is actually pretty easy. You can do this with running, rowing, or anything really. So if you wanted to run a 6-minute mile, that would be 360 seconds, and a mile 1,600 meters. And so your meters per second would be 4.44. And I normally lose people right there because I start doing math, I start talking about that. But it's really simple math if you wanted to do it to add to your training. And then how many meters you should be moving in 30 seconds. And this isn't necessarily something, to push yourself, but when you're by yourself, you need to be accountable, right? So this is a good way to hold yourself accountable. You know what, this is my goal for myself on how fast I want to move. And so these are how many meters I need to be moving every 30 seconds when I do intervals. And so I like to start with six rounds of 30 seconds of work, followed by 30 seconds of rest, and follow those meter goals. So that's a great one right there. If anybody has any questions about the meter goals, how to do it, maybe you have a different suggestion, anything like that, you can throw it in the comments. I'll respond to any of it. Actually, if you have any questions at all, I'll interrupt what I'm talking about and make sure I get your questions answered no matter what it has to do with. So just throw it in there if you have any. And if you're watching this and you're unable to, then you can always hit me up on Twitter later or something like that. All right, the second of the 7 ways to push yourself is to put your money where your fitness is. And I suggest that people do this once a quarter, or you can do it as much as you want, really. And I actually know some people who do this with their fitness goals. So they'll set a goal from themselves. And so if you wanted to run a certain amount of miles, you want to run a marathon, or maybe you wanted to lose a certain amount of weight, squat a certain amount of weight, whatever it is, you can write a check to your friend, your spouse, tell them the goal, and then tell them that they can keep the money if you don't achieve your goal. Because a lot of people, money is way more important. They find a way to do it if they have some sort of negative consequence around the end. And a lot of these things that I'm talking about today is negative reinforcement. And negative reinforcement actually works really well for me. It does not work well for everyone. If you just beat yourself up mentally, if you're that type of person, then I wouldn't suggest doing all of these strategies. Maybe pick 1 or 2. You don't want to be beating yourself up, but for me personally, negative reinforcement works really well. So for me, I could write a check to my wife look, babe, if I don't squat 500 pounds this year, I want you to keep this $1,000 check, whatever it is. And then it's hers, and she can do whatever she wants with it. Or you could write it to a charity, put it in an envelope, and give it to a friend. Maybe it's charity you like, maybe it's charity you don't like. It doesn't matter. But sending that money somewhere, there's a consequence. You didn't achieve your goal, so that's going to get mailed off. And now you're held accountable to a goal that you set with someone else holding you accountable without having to be there in your workouts. So that's the second one. The third one is benchmarking yourself frequently, at least once per month. People do this way too infrequently. Everything I've ever seen people do, even with programming, you need to be benchmarking yourself all the frickin' time, especially if you're training alone. If you have someone who's handling your programming for you, then yeah, it may be okay to wait 3-4 months to retest something. But if you are on your own, handling your own training or training alone, and you're worried about your intensity level or anything like that, you need to be benchmarking yourself all the frickin' time, because you want to know if you're getting better. And that doesn't mean that you're maxing out on squat every single week, but it could be conditioning workouts. If you're doing CrossFit workouts, doing Fran every other week and then switching to a different one, that's not that big of a deal. Doing Murph, I do Murph, the CrossFit workout Murph. If you're not familiar with it, it's a run a mile, 100 push-ups, 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 squats, run a mile. I do that one like once a month just to see what's happening to my fitness, because Murph, I feel like, is a workout that you just can't cheat, and that's a really good one to do. So just benchmark yourself regularly, and don't be scared to do so. You need to know what your fitness can do. So like you're either getting better or you're getting worse. Don't be scared to find out. So benchmark yourself frequently. That's number 3, guys. All right, number 4, I echo this one all the time, is stick to a freaking program. A lot of people don't. They do something for 4 weeks, they do something for 6 weeks, and then they're disappointed that they didn't see results. But come on, that's not realistic. I say at least 12 weeks before you switch a program. You can get PRs in programs as little as 4 weeks. You can do that with some of my programs, but that's not sustainable. There's no smoke and mirrors here. It's not sustainable if you got a PR in 3 weeks or you got one in 2 weeks just because someone taught you how to do better form. You're not going to do that all the time. If you want to see PRs and long progress, you need to stick to a program for a long time. And the most results I've ever seen is when I did something I called Project Barbell on my website. You could Google it. I don't actually know what the link is right now, but it was my goal to lift 1 million pounds of volume over the course, however long it took me. It took me 8 months, and I had really, really great results from that. I actually took my deadlift, I forget, it was in the low fours, I believe, to 540 pounds, which was triple body weight at the time, a triple body weight deadlift, by sticking to one program for 8 months, just cycle after cycle after cycle after cycle. So stick to a program. That's a great way. If you do train alone and you're not seeing the results you want, maybe you're hopping around too much. So the way to actually push yourself would just be to stick to the program for as long as you possibly can and really see what the results are going to be. All right, guys, number 5, start a mental toughness habit and do this daily. A lot of people don't do this, but what you don't realize is willpower needs training just like anything else. It needs to be habitual. So how are you training your willpower on a daily basis? That could be something as simple as when your alarm clock goes off, you get up and you get out of bed. Or in my case, what I like to do every day is a really cold shower. I normally start it hot and then bring it to cold, but there are mornings where I'm just like, I do not want to turn that handle or that faucet, to cold. It's going to suck, and I don't want to do it. But anytime I have that thought that I don't want to do that anymore, I force myself to do it anyway. And I know by forcing myself to do that one tiny thing per day, it's going to make me that much better in the long run. So, what's your mental toughness habit? What are you doing on a daily basis that's going to train your willpower and train you to do just a little bit more each day? All right, guys. 6, some people disagree with this one. A lot of people disagree with number 6 and 7. These two things, and that's okay. And if you disagree, feel free to let me know. But number 6 is epic penalty programming, and this is people have heard of penalty programming. Like if you don't finish something in a certain amount of time, you do 10 burpees or something small like that. That's penalty programming. But I like to go and do epic penalty programming. So rewind to the meter goals I was talking about. So if the goal is 133 meters per interval, you do 2 intervals, and you got one at 126 and one at 130. I'm reading from the article here. You do 10 burpees. That's small time penalty programming. How you make it epic is for every meter missed, you do a mile. So if you were 3 meters off, you're going to run 3 miles at the end of your workout. And I know that that's crazy to some people. They're just like, that's ridiculous. It's too much volume, all this other stuff. And like I said, disagreeing is fine, but how about, try it. Try actually holding yourself to something that ridiculous. I don't think it's the extra volume in the workout that's going to make you better, running 3 miles at the end of the workout, but mentally knowing that you could possibly tack on that much crap to the end of your workout is going to make you not want to do it. So epic penalty programming is great. I don't do it very often. Sorry, I was just reading one of the comments. Yeah, I'm going to put this on YouTube probably sometime in the next couple days whenever I get a chance. If you're watching this on YouTube after the fact, this may sound a little weird for everyone who's on here live. But yeah, this will go to Facebook and YouTube at some point. So I was talking about epic penalty programming. It's really crazy. I don't do it all the time, but it is great to hold yourself accountable when you really feel like you're not holding yourself very accountable. All right, guys, and then the last one, number 7 here, is the Iron Mile. Just quick, I know we don't have a ton of people on here, but I did see some familiar names. Has anyone out there done the Iron Mile or some variation of it at Into 3 Fitness? Oh, wait, no response. All right, so if anyone on here, yeah, okay, there we go. The Iron Mile, add it to accelerate. Is not in there right now. Okay, yeah, we got a bunch of yeses. Okay, you guys have done it. So the Iron Mile is absolutely terrible. There's no way around it. So what do? It's very easy. Well, it's very simple, should I say. You walk a mile. That's all you're going to do. You're going to walk a mile, but the catch is you put something on your back. It could be an empty barbell, a loaded barbell, a yoke. But I don't like to say I don't want anyone doing like sandbags or wall balls or anything like that, because those are too soft, in all honesty. You want that metal on your back to dig in a little bit, and that's where a lot of the mental training comes in with the Iron Mile. I think I have a yoke out here. The most I've done the Iron Mile with 200. I think I've done the 200-pound Iron Mile with the yoke. Weighted vest, I would still say that's too comfortable. Because what really gets uncomfortable in the Iron Mile is the bar on your back. Because walking with a load is one thing, but walking with something kind of digging into your back, like I said, this isn't like a healthy workout. It's not the best thing. It's good for you, but there's another side to training that we need to focus on, which is the mental side, and which is what I write a lot about, because people. Yeah. So, I mean, I do think that a weighted vest, you're getting off a little too easy there, but a barbell on the back, is going to be really good. It's going to dig in, and, man, yeah, it's awful. Yeah, I get some people chiming in saying it sucks. It's pretty bad. A yoke, I've done it with a yoke. That might actually be a little bit easier than a barbell. I've done it with a barbell as well. Never fun. You could try it in the front rack position and move to your back, too. I've done that, any variations, but there's no way to make it easy. Yeah, I agree. When you finish, it's an amazing feeling. So those are the 7 things. I'll recap real quick, and you guys can check this out. I should have come prepared with a link, but if you were to Google 7 ways to train alone, you'll probably find this article at Into 3 Fitness. The ways are: set your meter goals once per week, put your money where your fitness is once per quarter. So that's writing a check and giving it to someone else based off your goals. How often we do the Iron Mile? I do the Iron Mile probably once every 2 to 3 months. And that's just because I'm doing a lot of benchmarking right now, trying to see if I'm getting better at it faster. Because the first time you do the Iron Mile, it's pretty awesome, or not awesome, but like awful, but awesome to finish. But then after that, now you have a time. You have a benchmark. You've benchmarked yourself. So you've done a 10-minute or whatever, a 20-minute, 30-minute Iron Mile. Now you got to go faster. There's no taking longer. There's no doing the same. You have to go faster next time, right? That's the only standard you can hold yourself to. So yeah, the second, third, fourth, fifth time you do the Iron Mile are way worse because you're trying to move faster. All right. So recapping, third is benchmark yourself frequently. Just stay after the benchmarks. Keep doing the benchmarks. Make sure you're doing them regularly, and then stick to a freaking program. I mentioned my barbell project where I stuck to one man, one barbell for 8 months. You could probably Google Project Barbell, Into 3 Fitness, something like that, and you'd also find that, the results of that program. Start a mental toughness habit daily. Like I said, mine's cold showers. You can do that. Epic penalty programming, and then the Iron Mile. So those are the things, guys. Those are my 7 ways to push yourself when training alone. I actually think I'm about to get some more training in here in a few minutes, but enjoyed having everyone on. If you guys have any questions or anything, I'll give you a second to throw those in there while I start shutting things down on my computer. But anyway, guys, check out into3fitness.com if you haven't already. And thanks for being here.